Hey friends, if you're here watching the replay, thank you so much for stopping by. My name is Svava Brooks. I am a trauma recovery coach. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please check the links below where you can learn more about the services and support that I offer for adult survivors healing from trauma and neglect. My website, svavabrooks.com. And again, if you're a replay viewer, you can fast forward a little bit. I'm going to be welcoming my live viewers here in a minute. But I'm on here live Tuesdays and Thursdays most weeks, not last week, but I'm here today and this week, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Hey, friends, and if you're here live, please say hello. Please let me know that you're here. Want to see you, celebrate you, welcome you. Like I mentioned, love to hang out here with fellow thrivers on the journey, because I do believe wholeheartedly that we can heal, we can restore, we can reconnect with our bodies and our hearts, rewire this mind, sort out our messy feelings at times. But we can do it one day at a time, right, my friends? One day at a time, one page at a time. And some days, one breath at a time, it feels like, right? So what is new and good? So we start there. Hey, Wanda. Hey, Matt. Hey, Rob. Hey, Sue. How are you guys? Last week was a busy week and I was no show on YouTube. Too many moving parts. As some of you know, I'm here in Portland, Oregon, and I had an opportunity to attend a local prevention conference, which was awesome. That's one of my goals this year. So much of my world is online, which I love because I get to hang out with you guys and connect with people all over the world. But I am looking to explore more local people. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Rob. So I'd heard about this conference, so I made it a point to go and connect with some people from all over Oregon. It was amazing. But 3 full days in a conference room. Of course, the other stuff then I had to catch up. But it was all good, and I knew you guys are flexible. You guys are flexible and understanding, and that's why I appreciate you guys so much, so much. Sue is busy. Builders in the house, pulling out your kitchen, rebuilding your kitchen. Sue, is that what I heard? I hope you took before and after pictures. Can't wait to see it. Can't wait to see it. Thank you, Sue. I missed you guys too. Actually, yeah, I'm so used to hanging out with you guys that I, when I'm not here with you guys, something feels off in my world. Wanda says, have you heard of the Unique Foundation? I have heard of it. No, I have not attended their events or know enough about it to really speak about it. But I have heard of it, and that name sounds very, very familiar. I think a couple of people that I know and are in some of my circles have attended their events. So started now planning. Yes, pictures taken. Great. That's awesome. So just want to put it out there for those of you guys that are watching. I have Periscope going and YouTube. So I'm going to do my best to keep my eyes on the live chat in both places. But if there's a pause and I'm not responding right away, bear with me. And if I'm commenting on something and you're not seeing it on your screen, you think I'm just sitting here talking to myself, then I'm probably responding to something that's happening on the other screen in front of me. So just a heads up. Yes, awesome, Wanda. Good for you. Good for you, Wanda. Go for it. Go for it. Retreats, as we know, are beautiful, wonderful, amazing opportunities to come together. A few of you had sent me private messages asking about a conference this year. I don't think in my schedule this spring I have an opportunity to do an in-person retreat, but I am thinking about putting together a day-long virtual retreat, a way for us to come together and be together, but online for a whole day. So now that's it. I'm officially putting it out there. No in-person retreat this year. But we already have our spot reserved for April next year. So hang on, mark your calendar for that. And if you're curious about what weekend in April, it's the same weekend we were there last time, but I'm happy to send out more information or post that on our in our group if you want to mark your calendar for that. There you go, Rob. You love those Zoom calls? Yes, I miss those too. Hanging out together, even if it's online, we get to see each other. We get to hear each other. So stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for that. All right, Wanda is still planning on being in Oregon in April. Well, if you're here, it's going to be a party. And I heard somebody else, not naming any names, I heard somebody else might be in my neck of the woods in April. All right, there he is. Well, if you guys are in town, we'll definitely meet up. That's for sure. That's for sure. I like how you guys just take the lead here. So I love it. Love it. So just let me know the dates that you're considering being in town, Rob. I made a note of that earlier in your note, and I'm gonna mark those days on my calendar to be available. So are we ready? Are we ready to jump in, dig in? The topic of today, did you guys notice? And so those who are watching and maybe not familiar with our group, we have a closed Facebook group where I post the page of the day from the book. And just to put it out there, my books are available on Amazon or Kindle. And in the group, I post the page of the day. And as you can see, there's a little bit of text. And then there's 2 journaling questions. And in the Facebook group, people answer the questions. And then they have given me permission to share here with you guys. Well, speaking of, I want to make sure, Sue and Wanda, that I have your permission to share your journal entries from the group today. So let's see. Let me set up our conversation. Today we are talking about value. This used to be a big one. Control issues. All, most, some form of, right? All survivors of child abuse have control issues. This is not an exception of that. Just like many of you, I grew up in an out of control home environment. I had no power over what was happening around me or the abuse that was inflicted either on me or that I was witnessing, abuse being inflicted on other people in my family. Consequently, right, I spent many years being a terribly controlling adult. That's how it works, right? And often when we live or grow up as children in a place where we feel like we have no control, right? And then we bring into feeling like we have no sense of control what's happening inside. And as we grow up, we often in turn become very controlling. So once I understood why, I learned to apply a lot of self-compassion to myself, right? Understanding why so much of my life was just on autopilot, how this new knee-jerk reaction something happened, I would respond not always very with loving or kindness towards the people around me. And it was often very harsh and very, judgmental. And it was probably one of the more painful things that I had to make peace with growing up. I mean, on my healing journey, especially also as a parent. So thank you, Wanda. Thank you. And thank you, Sue. Hey, Elizabeth. Hey, friend. How are you doing? Good to see that you're here. So glad that you're here. Again, I want to put it to you guys. I want to put it to the community. So why is it? Why is it, again, why is it that we struggle with control? What's going on? What's going on inside of us? Yes, it's what we see growing up. We have no control. And, or, right, our nervous system. When we get triggered, things, right, something unexpected happens outside of us. It triggers that fight, flight, or freeze response. And then immediately we often respond as this is worst case scenario, fear of getting it wrong. Yes, thank you, Sue. Thank you. And Wanda says, for me, it was an effort to be safe. Yes, that too. Absolutely. It is an effort to be safe, right? And so for many of us, right, control is about, right, Sue, the fear, it's like we had to be perfect. Hey, friend, is it Tammy? I can't see exactly. Right, since there's so much going on in here, that we want to be perfect. We want to keep everything in tight in control, right? We become the perfectionist. Exactly. Exactly. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. Exactly. Yes. Effort to be safe or lack thereof. Exactly. Yeah. And it's really, right, a vicious cycle. Vicious cycle. And for me, for a long time, I thought me being controlling, or me just, being wanting things so, right, was just one of my personality traits. I just liked things to be very orderly. I liked things to be very clean. I did not like fingerprints here, or things dirty there, or things not exactly where they should be, right? That's just a good personality trait, I thought. And yes, some of that is okay, right? But when I took it to the extreme of, sometimes even feeling like I was terrifying my kids, because they were so concerned about, right, spilling milk, because mom would be so upset that they weren't perfect or doing it right, that it wasn't really until I started seeing the terror on their faces that it hit me that this wasn't okay. That even though I was trying to keep, right, a clean and orderly home, that there was something else deeper, way deeper going on. And I certainly did not want my kids to be looking at me the way they did when they were younger. It becomes obsessive. Yes, yes, exactly. And I no longer was focusing on them as a person. I was just obsessing about their behavior and how they looked and what they did. And that also made sense because obviously I hadn't connected with who I was, like my authentic self. So all I was obsessing over or criticizing about myself was my own behavior. I didn't separate the two. And so it was I can still remember kind of the ages that my girls were. This was even before my son was born. It was very painful. And I felt a lot of shame, but at the same time, I knew that I had learned to be this way. And this is, again, we're a community of survivors where I was in a support group, and I could see how other women, other, parents were struggling with the same issue. And it helped that I could talk about it with others, that I realized, this is what happens when things feel out of control inside of us. And we grew up with out of control in out of control environments, right? I wasn't a bad person. I wasn't a bad mom. Hey, Lena. But and I had learned to be this way, and I could learn to be different. And this was actually, just thinking about it now, was the time in my life where I kind of started digging deep into parenting books. I started reading more and more about parenting because it was clear to me that I had way too high expectations on my daughters. It's like I treated them like little adults instead of supporting them and being children and, being innocent and exploring and learning and gradually go through the normal stages of growth and development. I had way too high of expectations on them. So, and that was kind of the gift from really learning about parenting, because I wasn't really parented and I had no idea. I also got to reparent myself. Found a beautiful resource called Growing Up Again, one of my all-time favorite books. Yes. Thank you, Elizabeth. And I was so excited about that book because I actually got trained in running groups within this parenting, using this parenting book when I was back in Iceland way back when. And also I have recommended to a lot of parents that are also survivors because it has sections. It really kind of dials in different stages of development for children. And it also talks about if you are, raising a child and that particular stage that your child is going through, and if it's a hard stage for you to support your child, then chances are that you were not parented well going through that stage. And the message of that book is that it's never too late to reparent yourself. So in that book, they also give you things to do, journaling and questions to answer, things to explore if you are struggling with that particular stage. So it's a beautiful book, wonderful resource if anybody's looking. So, and if you're curious, feel free to send me a note and I can post maybe a link to it. I think I still have 2 copies kicking around. So I hear you, Sue. Me too, sadly, for my kids. I hear you, right? This is all right, my friends. If anybody is feeling a little bit here, right? Because we as survivors, if we're also parents, right? We have to learn to forgive ourselves if there were things we didn't know. But now that we know better, we do better, right? So Elizabeth says here, I think some controlling parents really mean it for good, but they do more harm than good. That's not what I need as a daughter. I hear you. Hey, is Kath here? I didn't see her. Hey, Kath, if you're here, good to see you. But you're absolutely right, Elizabeth. I think also the world is changing. Good thing, right? And we are learning. Okay, struggling with connecting. Okay, you're here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And I think that we are learning from newer strategies on parenting, that how we have been parenting kids in the past has not been very helpful or healthy or supportive. That some of those parenting strategies have done more harm than good. So, oh, Sue, so you guys are having a rocky connection today. Well, I'm glad you're here. Hang in there. Sharon, hey, friend. Hello from Florida. She's back from Florida. I hope you enjoyed Florida. You had a good time. So glad that you're here, Sharon. So glad you're here. So anyways, so that was for me where my control issues kind of became very clear for me. So I would love to hear from you if you're here and listening and would like to comment and share. Is there an issue or particular area of your life, or any particular relationship where you recognize that need to control comes up pretty strongly, or is it getting in the way of your relationships, perhaps? And so here is a safe place to share. Safe place to share. Oh my goodness, Sharon. I am so sorry, my friend. Oof, an emergency funeral. Oh, for a young person. I am so, so sorry, Sharon. That is really hard. I am so glad you're here. I'm so glad you're here, my friend. It is very hard when we lose people, right? At any age. At any age, I know. But when young people, go either too soon or unexpectedly, that is very hard. Very hard. I hope you're being extra gentle with yourselves, Sharon. Please stay in touch and let us know how we can support you. Ooh, I'm feeling that in my heart. Sending you lots of love, my friend. All right. And then some good news. Went on. Hey, sacred energy change. Hey, friend. Welcome. Just so you know, I got YouTube going here as well, so I'm navigating to live streams. Sharon says here, went on my first part-time job interview Wednesday. They called me in for a second interview. Awesome. Congratulations, Sharon. Well, good. I'm glad to hear it. You were able to support your best friend for a few days. I'm so glad to hear that. Glad to hear that. So, yes, yes. So, to answer our questions today, the two questions, and like I said, I'd love to hear from anybody here if you want to share. Like I mentioned, what is an area of your life that you maybe are seeing that this need to stay safe, or right, that the need to control is showing up in your life? What area of your life are you trying to control everything with an iron grip? Right? This was me. for a long time when my kids were younger. Thank goodness I learned. Thank goodness I learned to relax. Let's go of some of those rules and make time and space for play. Oof. Yes. And then the second question, why is it so hard for you to let go in this area? So we're going to apply a little self-compassion as well. So, okay, Wanda, you said you posted late. So I'm going to refresh my page here. So hopefully I don't lose anybody along the way. All right. Yep. I see Sue and I see Wanda here. Great. Sue shared with us her comment on today. She says, one of the main ways control shows up for me is in details. When I'm planning or doing something, I find a bit challenging. I find myself obsessing over every detail. What drives that is the fear of making a mistake or getting it wrong. Something that was always a disaster with dire consequences during my childhood and later in my marriage. It's taking time for me to really grasp that nobody gets everything right all the time. And it's okay to be human. Yes, Sue, right? No one gets it. And who's to decide, right, what's the right way, right? And when we are planning and expecting, right, then we take away from being authentic and in the moment. And especially I was thinking, raising kids, being playful, that is an in the moment experience. So I absolutely hear you, Sue. I can so relate, my friend. Getting really anxious about all the little details, thinking it through in so many different ways. How is it going to go? What can possibly go wrong? And even come up with all kinds of ideas of how it probably will go wrong. And then when the event happens or what you're about to go do, not even close. Not even close. But now, knowing what we know about our bodies, about our thoughts, about our feelings, about our history, about our emotions and fears, now we can intervene with ourselves and apply some kindness and self-compassion, right? Talk to ourselves, talk to little Sue. I talk a lot with little Svava, different ages and stages of Svava that live inside of me. I'm a big fan of, doing some parts work and inner child work, helping those parts that were so scared of getting it wrong, giving them a voice now. Girl, it's okay, baby girl. It's okay, young woman, right? You're doing the best you can. Just keep showing up, be yourself, and it's going to be all right, quite all right. Let's see here. So thank you, Sue. Really appreciate it. And this is one of those things, right? Work in progress. And it's all about life is, right? We plan as much as we can and then see how life unfolds, because life continues regardless of our plans. And then, dealing with the times that things do go wrong. And it's about how are we going to respond to it? How are we going to respond to, react to, say and do and take action on based on what's happening here? And what is in the mix of that then is, right, other people. And we can't control other people. We can do our best to be mindful of this, to understand what drives our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. So thank you, Sue. I hear you, my friend. Let's see here. Elizabeth says, I try to control how deep people enter my life. I am not open about details of my life because of abuse and stalkers and etc. I understand, Elizabeth. Absolutely. And it's a good thing to, practice some discernment in the beginning. When we get to know people and we meet new people, I don't know about you, but many, many moons ago, I often trusted people too quickly, let people in too fast. So now I take my time with sharing openly about personal things or letting people in too fast. So that is healthy. Absolutely healthy. But I do tend to give people the benefit of the doubt. I like to assume that most people have good intention. Yes, it is about boundaries. Yes, exactly. So as you can see, Elizabeth, you're not alone. You're not alone. Not alone. And then the other thing that's tricky here, right, is because the world we grew up in, we learned to trust a certain kind of people, and then we found ourselves over and over again in maybe abusive or dysfunctional friendships or relationships because that's what we were used to. That was normal, or that was safe to us. So it's interesting, right? How as we change and gain a different perspective for ourselves and who is a safe person, what is a trusting relationship? Once we decide that for us inside, also then who shows up and who we're hanging out with changes. So LaWanda says, you should have let me know. I would have. Okay, you're talking to, I'm sorry, Wanda, you're talking to Sharon. Let's see. And then it's dealing with the times when it goes wrong. Yes. Right, Elizabeth, she says, I trusted anyone and everyone. Yep, I hear you. I absolutely hear you. And that I think also comes from when, as again, going back to being children and being in an abusive home where, we aren't seen, we aren't heard, we aren't validated. We don't get to speak our mind. We don't get to ask for what we need. So, hey, Brandon, do I believe in Freud's theories? Well, why don't you tell me more? Some of his theories are definitely outdated. So definitely outdated. So let's see. Yes. So I'm going to go back to the group here and see what Wanda said. Wanda said, I think, so her answer to the question, in what areas of your life do you try to control everything? And why is it so hard for you to let go in this area? And Wanda says here, I think I'm in a place in my life holistically where I've come to realize that life is going to show up, and I am learning to accept it, not control it. And I have found it to be less exhausting. Woohoo! That's awesome, Wanda. Congratulations, my friend. Congratulations. It is a lot less exhausting because, right, we really exhaust ourselves, right, by running this inner cycles of trying to control all the possible outcomes, consider what other people are going to say or do or think, and trying to accommodate all of that. It's exhausting. It's exhausting. It is easier to, okay, come back in here, the world according to Svava, right? And knowing what I know, that I really only have control of myself, right? What other people say or do, I really don't have a whole lot of control over. And the truth is that most people out there are, like I said, I think are doing the best they can with what they have and where they're coming from. And it's not helpful for me to tell anybody else what to do. So, but just I mean, I'm a handful enough just to navigate how I'm going to respond and handle, as life happens. So, and Kath here says, I don't immediately accept people in my life anymore or feel I need to. I can now evaluate the worth of the possible connection. Excellent, Kath. Excellent, my friend. You got it. Because that's it too, right? Is it worth the possible connection? And I mean, for me, I think because of my childhood being so dramatic and crazy, that I don't want drama in my life today. So I minimize that at all costs. My peace and quiet and mindful, calm is worth really assessing, do I want to invest in this friendship? Do I want to invest in, this relationship? And do both people, does everybody bring something to it? You know what I mean? I'm also very clear. It needs to be an equal partnership, give and take. So, and Elizabeth says, I feel the same, Kath, and I find that much less stressful than the opposite. Exactly. And Wanda says, yep, I've tried to stop living life like a chess game, trying to figure out the next two moves. Oh my goodness. Yes, I can relate, Wanda. I know. I mean, this is what we are really good at. And this is like a survival strategy, right? We can see around corners. We can finish people's sentences. We can predict, right, into the future for the most part, but then if someone doesn't follow along according to how we think it should be, so yeah, better just to let them do them. Just let people figure it out and not take things personally. When people do things that it's not maybe how I would have done it or whatever, it's okay. It's okay. If people cancel on me or change the plans on me, I'm like, that's fine. Thank you for honoring yourself and asking for what you needed. If you needed to cancel, if you needed to change the plans, never an issue with me, because I appreciate when I can do that. So I extend to other people the grace that I also like to be flexible. So flexibility is an important quality in my world. So, and to give people the benefit of the doubt. So right, there's a lot of gray area here, but it is worth exploring. Worth exploring. So let's see here. Elizabeth says, I think many people are looking for an enmeshment type of relationships, which I never signed for. And I set boundaries to prevent it. Yes. I hear you, Kath, right? So true, not to take things personally, but hard at the same time. Right? And that's the thing. When we take things personally, we need to ask ourselves a question. Why? If I start to feel that way, why? What's going on inside of me? What am I attached to? And sometimes even it's like, well, how old am I? The part of me that is taking something personally often is not my adult self, but it's a version of my younger self. So it's important to kind of ask yourself those questions. Why am I taking this personally? So let's see here. And Elizabeth says, I just wanted to comment on that, right? To looking for an enmeshment type of relationship. Yes, there's a lot of people out there that want you to take care of them, that just want to hand, you their life. Can you take care of me? Right? There's a lot of grown-ups out there with the little kids that are running the show. Can you love me? Can you fill my cup? Can you make me feel better about me? Can you make me, feel worthy and good and lovable and all those things? No, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's our job to take responsibility for who we are, what we need, take care of ourselves, and then we have something to give from a full cup to other people. So I'm with you too, Elizabeth, on that. But again, it can be tricky. It can be very tricky. If we grew up watching the people around us in dysfunctional relationships, manipulating, caretaking, right? It makes sense that is what we maybe do in our relationships growing up. We never learned to maybe speak up and ask for what we needed. So again, this is where a little bit of self-compassion, when we recognize that, no, I don't know how to ask for what I need. It took me a long time to learn to be direct. So once I learned, it actually became a lot easier. Because once I became direct about asking for what I needed, then I could also support my partner in asking for what they needed. So it's a win-win, but it feels very scary in the beginning, and it takes some growing up to do. And it feels very uncomfortable in the beginning, especially when we expect to get a no and to be rejected. Or what if I ask for something and they say no? Well, it doesn't mean they will never, right? Maybe just in that situation. And if they say no, guess what? Then you can go somewhere else. Then you get to decide if this is an important need. Does that mean that I'm not worthy of it? Or do I get to then go find other people that can show up and support me around this need, instead of, well, since this one person can't give it to me, then that's it. I won't get it. So, but that's often what we make it mean. We put a lot of our needs perhaps on one or two people, and then we're upset when they can't give it to us, because the chances are they don't even have it to give. So Yes, Elizabeth, right? The kid is running the show. Yes. Well, if you just think about it, right? If people are really standing or sitting in their adult self, because I believe when we are fully embodied, connected to our hearts, right? We are trusting, loving, caring adults, good, caring humans. I do believe that. Yes, I hear you. But the thing is, if people don't show up as caring, grounded, supportive adults, if they are being controlling, manipulative, right? Hurtful, dumping their emotions, like, right? Overstepping our boundaries, things like that. Chances are there's a wounded child or teenager that has showed up inside that body and is like literally trying to shake you to get what they need. Then it's about them. They're trying to get their needs met. It's not about you anymore. So yes, Sue, she says disastrous when both partners in a marriage are like that. Yes, it is not fun or pretty. Absolutely not. Wanda says here, it's a thin line for me when it comes to taking things personal. Being a pessimist, I expect the worst, but I'm getting better. But it is a job. Yes, it is, Wanda. It is, because the interesting thing, right, is we've learned about mindfulness and the power of our intention, the power of thought, the power of the things that we project out there into the world. That sometimes what we think about other people, what we expect from other people, we get it back. We magically just like put a spell on people that they will project and come back to us just the way we expect it. And then we get to be right. See, nobody likes me. Nobody's going to be kind to me. Everybody hurts me. Everybody takes advantage, right? So then it's like, okay, all right, then why is it that I expect everybody to treat me that way? So I'm pushing back a little bit. And let's take responsibility a little bit for, right? I understand Wanda being a pessimist and expecting the worst. I do understand it. But you, my lovely lady, deserve so much respect and care and kindness, right? Of course, that's how people are going to show up for you. And if they don't, it has nothing to do with you. If they don't, they're having a bad day, right? If they don't, something happened inside of them, instead of their world. So, but I hear you. And Sue, thank you, right? It's not just you, Wanda. Not just you. So, another little tip is, right? You guys have heard me say this. There's two ways to show up in the world. One, we are grounded, connected, caring, curious, open, and loving, right? Or we are defended, guarded, protected, judging. So when we're in the latter, chances are our wounded self has come home and is running the bus or running the show. So Elizabeth says, not exactly the topic for tonight, but I'm sick of people trying to control me through endless questions because they care about me. No, being nosy is not caring about me. It serves your insecurities. And Elizabeth, I agree with you wholeheartedly. And people are absolutely can be very nosy. And people like to gossip and talk about other people because it's most people out there would rather focus on you than me or themselves. So, and a lot of people out there think that by being super helpful to other people, then again distracts them from actually having to turn inward and take care of themselves. So again, no judgment, because this is what a lot of we see all around in our many cultures, what's acceptable. Many of us have grown up with this and around this, and so it becomes a habit. And so I hear you, Elizabeth. Nope, I have the right to not answer your question, and I can help myself. Thank you very much. And I will ask for help if I need it. So Kath says, it so does become easier to become direct, but only after making the first step. And that is very hard, but so worth it. Absolutely. Absolutely, Kath. And you can even say, I'm really nervous about this. I really would like to talk about this or ask about this, or set up a way for us to communicate around this, but I'm kind of nervous about it. You can even say that. And once you put that out there, usually it gets easier. Absolutely. It can get exhausting, slightly easier and less fearful. There you go. Right, Kat? Because the more we do it, the more often we do it, then it's like, oh yeah, I remember it. I did that last time. It was a little nerve-wracking because it was new. I hadn't done it before, but it turned out okay. I'm going to try again. So each time, what do we know about our bodies and our nervous system? The more we do something, the easier it gets. We're learning to be different. So Rob here says, yes, Elizabeth, but I guess it's being that adult, sticking up for your inner child that wanted to be seen, heard, and protected. Yes, Rob. Love it. Love it. Absolutely. Because right now, as adults, it is my job to protect my inner child. Absolutely. Protect. No one else. No one else. And it actually wasn't the end of the world, thankfully. There you go, Kath. It's good to practice with, topics or things or requests or conversations that, yes, do not feel like the end of the world. So let's see. Wanda says, I stop people from coming to me with gossip by taking them to the person they're gossiping about. And they say they want to ask you something or tell you something. Good for you, Wanda. That's hilarious. That is hilarious, Wanda. Because, right, it's absolutely right. Most people are talking about other people, about stuff that is not their business to talk about, right? Absolutely not. And it does way more harm than good. Absolutely. So that is so funny, Wanda. That will stop them next time if they start talking to you about someone. Yeah, it's very brilliant. I don't know others' business. There you go, Wanda. Absolutely. Absolutely. Wanda, that's universe level integrity to stamp out bad-minded people. That's right. That is so funny. Love it. Love it, love it, love it, Wanda. Well, my friends, thank you so much for being here today to share in this conversation. As we can see, right, it can be a little tricky. And tricky, the steps maybe aren't so hard, but it's important that we understand why we do what we do, right? Again, we aren't bad. So much of what we do is because we learn to be this way. And now we're learning to be different. And let's apply a lot of kindness and self-compassion. Thank you for asking, Wanda. Roxy is doing great. Yes. She is scheduled for her surgery next week. So we're keeping our fingers crossed. So just anybody who doesn't know, Roxy is my daughter's dog, and she was diagnosed with cancer, I think about a week ago now. And which was a little sad and shocking for us because we've only had Roxy now for 6 or 7 months. And so she needs to go in for, kind of an emergency surgery that they wanted to schedule it right away. And so we really won't know anymore until they basically do the surgery and remove what they found. And then they can see what else is going on there. So we appreciate love and light and prayers. And Elisa is so grateful for all the support that she received to support Roxy through going into her surgery. Such a blessing. So, but before we wrap up, I pulled a card for us, which is always perfect. Always perfect. One day, he or she knew that she must follow her heart. How perfect is that? Right? That we, like I said, we become controlling because we are disconnected from our hearts. We're disconnected from our bodies, and we're operating from our fears. Once we reconnect with our heart and learn to follow our hearts, we learn to trust ourselves, and we learn to trust other people, and we become better at discerning. So, such a beautiful card. So, thank you guys. Thank you so much. And thanks again for being here tonight. For some of you, I know it's really late, so it's bedtime for our UK friends here. And appreciate the love and the sharing. And remember, you are exactly where you need to be on your journey. And you already have everything that you need to heal and restore. And if there's any part of you that does not believe that you can heal, please reach out to me and shoot me an email and let me know if you're struggling with that, because in my heart of hearts, I know that we can all heal, and I hold the space for that for all of you. Because if this person, this body, this mind, this heart change as much as I have, we all can. We all can. I am nothing special. So I'm here to hold the space for that for you and to support you and holding that belief until you are ready and know that for yourself. So thanks for tonight, guys, and I'll see you on Thursday, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Until then, have a beautiful week. Bye, guys.